Father, I'll heal you as much time as I can. Thank you, Edmund. Take care of your brothers. Friend, it's our time. Yes, men of the House of York, the Queen of England is ours. Towards victory, we charge! So how did we get here? To explain that would really be to explain my entire existence, and I don't think YouTube's retention time is high enough. We're gonna have to speedrun this a bit. I was born into the unknown enchanting universe, contemplating if human life had any meaning, until my progenitors gifted me with a Nintendo Dual Screen Lite portable system. I was enthralled by the alluring magic of wasting countless hours, months, and years of my life experiencing interactive digital simulations, which I learned people call video games. I played a lot of games that impacted my life and shaped me into the person that I am now. I moved away from my parents' house to study video game development in university, but the flimsy, feeble, flawed discourse around industry standard development drove me insane. Can I really not opt to anything better in life than working as a glorified industrial revolution worker, a mere cogwheel of the system, producing products devoid of love and care? So, gentlemen, any idea on what kind of game we're making? Let's make a game in a popular genre. A game that follows industry standard trends. Me, I have an idea. Let's make a niche dialogue-heavy retro tactical RPG based on the dynamic conflict of the Wars of the Roses, a topic so complex whose mere understanding requires months of research, and tell two separate storylines, contextualizing it as theatrical representation, which allows you to assign different actors to play the role of different characters in a play, which essentially just means we are quintuplying the workload in both art and narrative. So during my time at university, I've gotten the chance to participate in a lot of games, some of them bad, others dog shit. When we got to the second year, the hot new thing was participating in game jams, short little competitions where what really mattered were the friends we made along the way, because we sure as hell didn't win any prizes. But it was an amazing experience, and one I'd highly recommend to anyone just getting into game development. Over the past year, I've gotten to experiment what it's like to develop a game in Unity, Godot, and Unreal Engine. Today, I present my list of arguments for choosing Godot as my primary game engine of choice. I rest my case. Because at the end of the day, it's about doing things your way. Picking the tools that feel just right for you. I won't judge. I eat water with a fork. Though I have misled you in that I'm not starting this game completely from scratch. You see, I already had the chance to test this idea in a prototype I developed for a university subject together with some talented programmers and artists. And then I took that basic concept and tried to build upon it in Godot for a few weeks last summer, so I was pretty confident when delving back into this project once more. Getting this game done will be easy as pie. So I made a pie, but not the game. Whenever you think of a game idea, no matter how much you daydream about it and how clear it seems in your mind, it's also not clear. It will truly not ever be fully clear until the game is almost done, but at least you can write documentation to store what your weak mind isn't able to remember. So as ecstatic as I was to dive into Godot to program once more after an especially long university semester of not using Godot, I promised myself that for the first week of development I wouldn't write a single line of code. Instead, I'd communicate regularly with my collaborators, define a schedule of development, a plan, and define clearly the game itself. It was time for my least favorite part of game development. Design. So I don't dislike design. I don't hate design. I quite enjoy all the subjects at university we did on design, which gave me the opportunity to make some of the projects I'm proudest of. But when you're excited about the prospect of making a super cool game, I'm excited to draw. I'm excited to create and code the systems that will bring the game to life. But not so much writing documents and making Excel sheets. I like making wireframes, and specifically, as we'll get to later, I love writing the narrative and characters for a game. But I like to do that and then do the game. Being a full-time designer looks exhausting and just seems like the least gratifying thing ever, especially if you might get a jackass programmer like me who says, screw the design, and programs whatever he thinks is cool anyways. Writing the GDD was chill enough, mainly because I focused on outlining the characters, using narrative techniques like the interpersonal circumflex to differentiate between characters' personality, and the character web to establish the relationships with each other. Some stuff was obsolete from a year ago and had to be redefined, other stuff I never bothered doing. Since I've decided to outsource a lot of the artwork, I decided to better define the section of art that indicated all required assets for the game, but this was only the calm before the storm. I would soon have to come face to face with my greatest challenge thus far. One's true enemy can present itself with many names and many faces. As for my nemesis, some call him Apple Numbers, some call him Google Sheets, but for the sake of simplicity, I'll refer to it as Excel. Now, Excel has been a thing that scared me a little in the past. What can I say? Every Superman has his kryptonite, and this software was mine. I didn't understand it, didn't know what it was useful for, and I've always hated the color green. But I realized that this fear came out of a lack of understanding, and all this time what I really needed was a wise guide to show me the way. Now this guide presented himself to me in the form of the internet wizard, New EdTech Classroom, who taught me powerful spells like centering the alignment of my text or changing the color of the cell. I was mad with my newfound powers and decided to create not one, not two, not even 5, but 4 Excels in which I stored important stuff for game development indeed. So, the character web was one of the most time-consuming tasks. For anyone who doesn't know what a character web is, imagine I have 3 characters, Pau, Biel, and Pablo. Now, I can know how these characters behave, I can know their personalities in a vacuum, but if I'm going to be writing scenes where they interact with each other, I need to establish some dynamics which are created off of the way the characters feel towards each other. So as you can see here in my beautiful character web, Pau loves Biel but absolutely despises Pablo, which is something that we can use to create scenes with these characters. The problem was my characters were a bit more complex, and there were 9 of them. It doesn't sound like a big enough number, but to anyone that can do math, those are 81 character descriptions, which was a massive undertaking, which was then immediately undermined the second I realized that yes, there are 9 characters in one of the 2 houses in the House of York, but there is also the House of Lancaster, which, for the sake of the demo I'm developing, act as the enemies of the game. Not only would making a character web of the House of Lancaster require 81 more different descriptions, but if I truly wanted to make a complete character web of every character in the play, I would need 324 different descriptions. So, for smaller casts of characters, it's definitely a good idea. It definitely helped me when writing the storyline behind the characters of House of York, and I might make a Lancaster-only web in the future. For now, I felt I defined the game's narrative structure and characters enough to start working on the script. So, to anyone that hasn't played Fire Emblem before, let me summarize how the game works. There is some exposition before battle. We fight, and there is some exposition after the battle. Next chapter, there is some exposition before battle. We fight, you get the gist of it. Only the main difference here being that instead I'm also introducing a backstage section after each play rehearsal where you can talk to people and go on dates. That's enough backstage for this video though, get back to the corner. So, the Wars of the Roses take about 33 years. Almost everyone dies, literally no one survives from the start to the end, and this makes it challenging for a game narrative. Because characters can't have plot armor. So I decided to create a brand new original character known as James Kent, a peasant boy turned street thug after his father was burned alive for hunting on a lord's private estate. He now bears a deep hatred and resentment towards the nobility and joins the rebellion of Jack Cade to overthrow the English crown, which is the first chapter of the game. James Kent will act as the main character and the player's eyes as he outlives all of the war and gets to participate in its many battles and gets to know each character along the way. The whole script for the demo, which I aim to have 13 maps, is about 66 pages of pure dialogue, which was complicated but thoroughly enjoyable to write, though I'm not sure how much of it I should share here, because I don't know if it's something people will particularly be interested, but if you are, comment down below, and I may even share with you the script, though that would spoil a bunch of the game, but it's still not final anyway. So, that was my first ever devlog. I hope you found it interesting. I know there wasn't a lot of game to be shown, but I hope you laughed at least once. Hopefully there's some more gameplay to be shown next time, as I now delve directly into the programming of the game. And if you found the concept of RoseWars interesting, consider backing us up on Kickstarter. We are launching a Kickstarter with a stretch goal of 2,000 euros by the end of this summer to outsource music, art and that sort of stuff. There are 3 backing tiers you can join. You can either become a Baron, a Earl or a Duke of the RoseWars Kingdom. So if you want to become a noble of the RoseWars Kingdom, you know where to find us. I'll see you next time.